So you're trying to decide between the PHLster Pro holster and the skeleton holster. Great, let's waste absolutely no time and get right into their differences, and then we'll dive into which holster we might recommend for you specifically. The Pro fits a wider variety of belt attachment hardware. Soft loops, Mod 4 DCCs, and a monoblock, whereas the skeleton only accepts a single clip. The Pro has an open-ended muzzle, which just means that you can add certain muzzle devices like a compensator without having to worry about finding a different holster. The skeleton has an enclosed muzzle, so in most cases it will not accommodate an added muzzle device. Muzzle devices can be used on some skeleton holsters, however. For instance, a P365 with a compensator or a threaded barrel will fit an XL skeleton. That said, if you have those devices on an XL, it will only fit in the Pro holster. This fact also contributes to how PHLster has chosen to tune the retention in each of these holsters. The Pro specifically has a noticeably tighter tuned retention, and this is because we had to take into consideration that many users would be pairing their Pro holster with a muzzle device or a longer slide that would likely protrude out from the bottom of the holster. And that tighter retention at the trigger guard is designed to withstand pressure on the muzzle of the gun and prevent the gun from coming out of the holster. The skeleton, however, has a slightly more neutral retention. This is also a great time to mention that every single holster that arrives in your hands has been physically tested with your gun. So if you bought a P365 holster from PHLster, its retention was actually tested at the factory with a real P365, not a blue gun. Now, the biggest difference between these holsters is that the Pro has a built-in wedge on both sides of the holster, whereas the skeleton, indicative of its name, is very minimalist and has no built-in wedge. We want you to be aware of all the features you're getting in a holster, but this is the primary feature that we base our recommendations on for customers. We recommend the Pro for users who already have experience using a wedge on their holster. If you don't already have experience using a wedge on your holster, then you may not know if a wedge is really the best solution for your needs and clothing selection. Although most users can benefit from the use of a wedge, they may find that their clothing selection doesn't really support that added material. Particularly, we find that users who wear tight-fitting pants or leggings will not really appreciate the wedge material on the Pro, and it's in that case that we definitely would recommend the use of the skeleton holster. The skeleton is one of the most popular options at PHLster holsters because it serves as a solid base for you to build upon and customize by adding a wedge of your size and choosing or not. Although these holsters are very different, they also have quite a few similarities. They are both fixed retention holsters, which just means that the retention cannot be adjusted. And the reason for this is that it allows you to tighten your hardware on your holster securely without changing how tightly your gun fits into the holster. So you never have to worry about your hardware spinning or wiggling, so long as you apply Loctite in order to prevent your screws from backing out. Also, both the Pro and skeleton holsters are ambidextrous. You'll always receive your PHLster holster in the right-handed configuration, unless of course you purchase a left-handed Enigma, but either way, you can actually change your holster from right to left-handed or vice versa by simply swapping the side of your holster that your hardware is facing. Both the Pro and the skeleton holsters have a medium-sized sweat guard. And finally, they both have a rounded muzzle, which just means that neither of them have a harsh edge that can cut into you. And that's just about all I can think to share about these two holsters. Hopefully this video was helpful and addressed the questions that you had about these two options, but if you feel like we missed something, please drop your questions down in the comments below.